was 1865. Abraham Lincoln had just died peacefully after being shot in the head. This had devastating effects on the U.S. as our favorite former vice president turned 17th president, Andrew Johnson, gets abruptly put into office. Things didn't start off very well. Johnson's loose Reconstruction policy of no punishment to slave owners and simple majority for the South to re-enter the Union angered many radical Republicans. Really triggered them. The year is 1866. A midterm election was coming up. Johnson's cabinet thought it would be a great idea to send him on a speaking tour, as he was facing opposition in the capital and the rest of the North. To raise public opinion and all. Boy, were they mistaken. Johnson's speeches were loud, obnoxious, and thoroughly unenjoyable. Today, these speeches would have made him president. These talks made his public opinion plummet. This circuit of speeches would become known as Swing Around the Circle due to their locations. Johnson started in Washington, D.C., traveled up to New York, swung west to Chicago, then down to St. Louis, and back to the capital. Everyone agreed that the tour was a disaster, and one supporter had said that Johnson should never have even done the tour. The year is 1867. There was this law passed by Congress called the Tenure of Office Act. It reduced the president's power by saying they couldn't dismiss a government official without approval from the Senate. We'll come back to this law in a minute. There was also this dude named Edwin Stanton. He was the Secretary of War for Lincoln, and Johnson was nice enough to keep him. Bad move, Johnson. It's not that Edwin was a bad guy, it's just that he and Johnson clashed over Johnson's policies. They especially clashed over Johnson's Reconstruction policies, and Johnson got tired of it. He dismissed Edwin from his position and appointed Ulysses S. Grant as Secretary of War. That whole situation didn't work out due to the Tenure of Office Act, and Grant resigned after the Senate got ticked. Johnson then appointed General Lorenzo Thomas, so poor Edwin couldn't get his job back. Johnson claimed that dismissing Edwin and appointing Grant and then Thomas was a way for him to test the constitutionality of the Tenure of Office Act. Of course, it was really blatant disregard for the law. The House of Representatives was enraged and made a motion to impeach Johnson. Impeachment is the process of convicting an official of a crime. It does not mean immediate removal from office. There were 11 articles of impeachment, and they flew through the House. Here they are recapped. Johnson dismissed Edwin without permission, appointed someone else to Secretary of War even though the position was not legally vacant, appointed Thomas without consent of the Senate, conspired with Thomas to keep Edwin from getting his job back, and conspired to ignore the Tenure of Office Act. He also stole stuff from the War Department, used that stolen stuff to ignore the Tenure of Office Act, gave Thomas permission to control the War Department's money, gave orders to someone to ignore the Tenure of Office Act, and made 3 speeches showing disrespect to Congress. The 11th article was a recap of the previous 10. The year is 1868. Once these complaints reached the Senate, it was time for a trial. The trial was headed by Chief Justice Salmon P. Chase. Yes, salmon as in the fish. The trial started on March 5th and lasted 11 whole weeks, with it ending on May 26th. Johnson made lots of promises, hoping to escape removal. However, after the trial, he conveniently forgot about them and continued to resist the Senate's policies. The first vote happened on May 16th, with it missing the 2/3 majority necessary for removal by 1 vote. They did another voting session on May 26th with the same results. Johnson left office when his term concluded on March 4th, 1869, and proceeded to run a successful senator campaign in 1874. He served until the April of the next year. The year is 1875. Your favorite ex-VP, ex-president, ex-senator dies at the age of 67 from a stroke. Rest in peace, Johnson. Rest in peace.